thousands of times.
You've made quantum leaps before. Every human being has. And the most simple example I love to give, and it proves that everybody's done this before, is when you went from crawling to walking.
Yeah.
You can't crawl fast enough. You can't play that crawling game good enough to become a walker. In fact, it's a different set. It's a different technique. It's a different set of moves. And same thing when you go from walking to running, or from walking, running, whatever, to riding a bicycle. All of those things.
To driving a car. Or
yeah. And okay, so what's interesting about any of those things is, okay, so how did you pull off the success in that particular move, whichever it was? You failed again and again and again. And people are afraid to fail. Because failing feels like losing. And I hate losing. You know that movie, Moneyball?
Yes, great movie.
It's a great movie. And Brad Pitt in that movie, there's a scene where he's in somewhere, not in the locker room, but some of their quarters around the locker room and everything. And he's talking to 2 or 3 of the players. And one of them is named Chavi. And they're talking, and he says, I hate losing, Chavi. I hate losing. I hate losing more than I even want to win. And it's different.
Yeah.
You know? And it kind of reminds me, that's so true. Winning's great, but losing, man. And that's when we get embarrassed, we feel stupid, you know.
But here's the thing, when people associate failure with losing, they're always going to feel defeated. But you and I know that the only way to become successful is you must fail in order to succeed. So how do we rewire our minds or reshape it, knowing that failure is part of the process of success, and it doesn't equal failure being we are losers personally?
Yeah. I think that, I guess there are several things that we can do. First of all, is just stopping for a minute and thinking in our own mind, you know, any major change or any new skill I picked up in my life. I mean, learning to eat. Look at the mess a kid makes, you know. I mean, they just wreck the floor around them when they're learning to eat. The kid doesn't care. The kid has just got, you know, the kid wanting to walk, the crawler wanting to walk. Well, they start trying to walk and they bang themselves up, they fall, they cry, they get a bruise, maybe scraped here and there, but they're not thinking embarrassment. They're not even thinking about it as failure. They're just thinking about it didn't work. Okay, and they try again. And they keep learning, and they get there. And that's it's kind of the same thing, whether you're trying to learn some new computer skill or some new athletic sport, you know, whatever. And so I think part of it is just starting with this idea that failure belongs in the process. If you're not failing, that's the biggest mistake of all. Because you stabilized, you've leveled off.
You're playing it safe.
You're playing it safe. There's this old Chinese proverb that says, failure is the mother of all success. And it's so true. If you think about it, this is what I think throws us. If you think of a continuum, okay? Failure on one end, success on the other end. We think of them as polar opposites, right? Which you stop and think, are you telling me then, Lewis, that failure is a key dynamic in my ability to succeed? No, you would say, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you start toward a goal and you're not making some mistakes, then you've aimed too low. If you know how to do it, you're not staging a quantum leap for yourself. If you can frame out the game plan, a detailed game plan for this time I'm going to get there, you've aimed too low.
Mm-hmm.
If you've taken the risk out of it, you've aimed too low. There's just a number of key differences between, I'm just going to set a conventional goal for myself, an incremental goal. Makes sense. It's not scary. I know how to do it, and so forth. 10 things, man, that are just dramatically different.
Yeah. It's interesting because there's a great meme that I've seen online for years. That's a photo of a baby trying to walk. I might have mentioned this in the last interview we did, where the meme says, when a child is learning to walk and falls 1,000 times, he or she never thinks to himself, maybe this walking thing isn't for me. Right? He just keeps trying, or she just keeps trying and keeps falling. After the 10th fall, after the, hitting the back of the head 1,000 times, the baby doesn't say, I'm just going to stay on the ground and crawl and keep doing this. It eventually figures out through pain, through crying, through tears. And usually most adults will clap when they fail and say, oh, you almost did it. Yes. You're right. It's like, no one's like, you're a stupid baby. It's like, no one's like shaming the baby when they make a mistake. They're like, yeah, good job. You hit your head and you keep going. There's this encouragement. But as adults, there is more people laughing at them, shaming them, making fun of them when they try to pursue something that looks like they're going from comfort, crawling, to, walking, running, in whatever goal or dream they might have. And so maybe there's a psychological shift that happens in society as we age and as we grow older. So how does someone learn how to rewire their mind or reshape this philosophy that failure is the pathway to success? And even though when you were a kid, more people encouraged you, as an adult, you may not get the encouragement. So how does someone learn how to feel empowered internally to support themselves when they're failing hundreds and thousands of times on their path from crawling to sprinting in their quantum leap goal? How do we do that internally?
Well, start with, it may not sound like it's internally, but that's where the impact is. As much as you can, surround yourself with people who are going to be supportive.
Yes.
Because they're going to have a heavy influence on you.
Mm-hmm.
There may be a mentor that would be your wingman through the process. And so when you screw up, fail, get a setback, they say they're right there, reminding you. So that's external stuff, but it's powerful.
Yeah.
The other thing is just try to maintain an optimistic mindset across the board. Is huge, because performance begins inside the brain. Always has, always will.